The show that I've chosen to do for my character analysis is called The Office. The Office is a show that follows different coworkers around this company called Dunder Mifflin, which is a company that sells reams of paper to other companies. And it just follows the different coworkers throughout their day as they engage in their occupations, whether it's eating, drinking, doing their jobs, or sometimes they even talk about their leisure activities. It just depends on the episode. So this episode, I chose to focus on Dwight Schrute, who is a very interesting character. And the two occupations I chose to highlight for that episode are work for his job performance and leisure, writing X-Men fan fiction. So Dwight works and he values job performance. He is very a go-getter at work, and this is evident by the way he interacts with his boss. So one of the performance requirements that he probably gave to himself, but I'm sure his manager enjoys the fruit of, is that he reports on other coworkers to his new manager. So, and this is evident that he finds value in it by the glee in his voice as he is talking about the previous manager, Andy, and he's telling the new manager about Andy's misfortunes. And the type of environment is the social environment, and this can be both supportive and limiting depending on who you are looking at. So supportive because his manager finds this information very important and uses the information to keep her job over Andy. And it also may be limiting because of the fact that he's reporting on his coworkers. So they probably don't find that very helpful or very good, and they probably don't like him very much for that. So his it's both supportive and limiting. The context I chose is his personal context. Dwight is a Caucasian cisgendered male who interacts with his coworkers every day while at work. And this context is relevant because these characteristics are how he interacts with his coworkers. It contributes to how he interacts with his coworkers. As a cisgendered male who's very enjoys sex. This episode was a very sexual one. It was very interesting. There's one point in the show where he is referring to his erection and how he never has trouble getting it up, and that is something that I feel a cisgendered male, hot-blooded male, American male, would interact with his coworkers, and is probably grounds for sexual harassment. The second occupation I chose to highlight is leisure, writing X-Men fanfiction. He values this very much, and this is evident by his smirk when he's talking about writing quite a lot of his X-Men fanfiction, Captain Mutato. The environment I chose was his social environment, which is also limiting and supporting, depending on where you're looking. So his social engagement and social participation within his office may be limited by his enjoyment of writing X-Men fan fiction, because he might be spending too much time with it, or he may not be spending time with his coworkers because of it, or his coworkers may not be interested in his stories about Captain Mutato. Whereas admirers of his fan fiction may actually enjoy interacting with Dwight and trying to get his attention and perhaps talking with him, and the context that I chose is virtual, because fan fiction is often written online to share with others different plot lines, different ideas about how the characters in movies, books, and TV shows have changed or whatever. And this context is relevant for Dwight because he would need to have access to the internet to share his fan fiction with others. So, in analysis, basically, all of our occupations can be affected by our physical and social environments, as well as our personal, virtual, and temporal and cultural contexts. If this was a different temporal context for Dwight, if he was, say, closer to a retirement, he would not be able to participate anymore in his job performance because he's retired. If he had a different physical environment, perhaps, if he himself had some kind of physical handicap or disability where he had to use a wheelchair, the physical environment would have to change to fit that need. And so it just changes the way we see our clients and how we help our clients. And I hope you enjoyed this presentation.